Good morning, Carl. Thanks so much. And Sarah, thanks to you for being here. Terrific to see you in person.
Always good to be in with you. Thanks, Kate.
And a lot of news to talk about. Let's start with Stargate. So going global here, expanding in the UAE. What does this tell us and what does this say about OpenAI's global ambitions?
Sure. So Stargate UAE is just an extension of something we announced last week, OpenAI for countries. So think of it in three parts. Number one, how do we deploy AI with our allies and with our partners around the globe? We recognize that whether it's breakthroughs in healthcare, personalized learning, areas like energy, innovation, they're not all going to happen in one place. So we want to make sure our technology is around the world to benefit people everywhere. Second, it is, of course, an infrastructure build. We will be putting a data center into the UAE, into Abu Dhabi. It's going to start with something around 200 megawatts and build up to about a gigawatt on their campus. That's a full 5 gig. And we're doing it with our partners, as you said, to make sure it's safe and secure. And then finally, it's the investment piece that I'm sure we're going to talk about.
What is it costing you? What do you have to spend on that?
So to build that data center in UAE, the kingdom itself is going to build that. So UAE plus G42, they will put that data center in place. Why would they do that? Well, I think countries and states are all recognizing that, first of all, those builds bring economic wealth to a region. They bring skills. There's going to be a skill gap if we don't get ahead of it on AI. And frankly, they set them up to be able to drive this technology into the arms of their populace. So remember, this region in about 2,000 miles, which is about the distance where latency still works well for our products, you reach about half the world's population.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Where are you, in terms of ChatGPT numbers, what percentage right now of the world's population do you have using your device, or not devices yet, but your software at this point?
So the last numbers we gave were over 500 million were weekly active users. You can imagine our monthlies are even bigger. So we're starting to see a pretty staggering percentage of the world's population is using the technology. And that's all organic. Remember, we've done very little marketing to date. So this is people just finding the technology, recognizing that it can really change their life in small ways, like what am I going to make for dinner tonight, to really big ways. I mean, I use deep research every single day of my life to do things that a CFO needs to do.
You mentioned some of the partners on this. Oracle is a big one, also SoftBank. We don't really see Microsoft. Maybe they're more behind the scenes, but Oracle has been a big anchor of Stargate. Are they comfortable? Is Microsoft comfortable with you guys having closer partnerships with other cloud providers, given how much they've spent and invested in OpenAI?
I mean, yes, because they're an investor in OpenAI. I think recognizing just the scale that we're getting to, last year we really pushed on how do we build a much more diversified approach to our infrastructure build. It begins with Microsoft, a really core partner, but now we're working with folks like Oracle, CoreWeave, as you mentioned, and now shifting into a more global footprint. But Stargate will remain really the way we talk about our infrastructure. As you know, we were at the White House in January, I think, with President Trump. At that stage, with Larry Ellison from Oracle, with Masa-san from SoftBank, and Sam, of course, talking about this first big push on $500 billion into Stargate here in the United States.
And maybe we're reading too much into Satya not being there and Larry Ellison being there.
No, I think on that I think you're overreading. Remember, G42 itself, Microsoft is an investor in G42. And we continue, I mean, we will always be close partners with Microsoft, given the investment, the infrastructure they build for us, and of course the IP. When you buy the Azure OpenAI API, you are buying our technology.